Good morning. Oh, it's working. And welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Mary Ann Clark, and I will be your co-celebrant for this morning's service. If you have been here before, one time or many, you are welcome here. All People's Church is more than a place to gather on Sundays. It is a community, a spiritual home, where you may develop and deepen your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls, that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world around us. If you're a visitor today and you haven't yet signed in, please do so. There's a visitor's table out there by the front door. Signing in will give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit and to place you on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and our monthly newsletter. Before we continue with our service, please note these reminders and announcements. CYRE is having a bake sale next week. If you would like to donate a baked good or offer your time, please contact Rain at allpeoplesre@gmail. All parents are advised to bring something. From Jane Collins, next Sunday, November 17th, from 3 to 5:30 p.m., the Justice Network of Tarrant County will hold a conference here at All People's Church. Arlington Mayor Jim Ross will speak. There will be workshops to plan what actions will move us toward a better future. All people from our church are welcome. If you have questions, please see Jane, who is right there. And the Constellation Youth Summit, which was scheduled for next Saturday at All People's, has been canceled. And there are two more announcements. The first one will be Joe and then Julie.
Well, thank you to everybody that's already donated to Don't Forget to Feed Me this month. It's really, really appreciated. Today is the second Sunday of the month, and it's when I ask everybody here to help our cause, Don't Forget to Feed Me, which helps families keep their pets. It also helps people on Meals on Wheels, who a lot of them, that's the only friend they have. And food is delivered for their dogs and cats also. Even $1 helps, because they can buy a lot more dog and cat food with money, but if you want to bring dog and cat food, there's a bin outside that you can place it in. Once again, thank you all very, very, very much. The dogs, the cats, and the families all thank you. Have an amazing day.
Good morning. I have the great news that we are bringing back the Freedom Cafe, our coffee house that we previously had that was successful. I went there when I was coming here while I was in college, and I thought it was great. It's local musicians. A lot of prominent musicians in the area started at our coffee house, which was many years ago. And we have one coming up right in between the holidays. On December 28th, it's going to be at 7 p.m. Last night we had a great relaunch. We sold 15 tickets at the auction last night, and I want to give a special thanks to David, who is sponsoring our musicians, and we have another volunteer to sponsor for the next time, so I think this is going to be a great opportunity for our community to come together. So there are two ways to purchase tickets. They are 15 for adults and kids over 12. You can buy 2 for $25, and they're $20 at the door, so it pays off to buy early. But there's a QR code, and this will be in the lobby there. And then I also have paper tickets if you'd like to pay the old-fashioned way with cash or check. But come celebrate with us. We're going to have coffee, refreshments, and great music. We have 2 acoustic guitarists, and I think you're going to like it. Thank you.
Jane, would you like to come up and introduce Alan? Surprise.
Good morning. I think a lot of you have noticed the t-shirts that we hung in the window out there, and that was from a project called Vidas Robadas, or Stolen Lives, and it's a project that is going on all over Texas. A lot of churches are participating. It's about, people that died due to gun violence. So we have the person who I think's in charge for North Texas. Am I right? Are you in charge? Tarrant County. Okay. So anyway, he'll tell us more about it. But if you haven't made a t-shirt, I have a list of names. You can put the name of the person, the age, and then the date they died, and we're gonna hang them out in front of the church. And then Alan will tell you what else we're going to do with them.
Jane was doing all my work for me. Thanks for having me here. My name is Alan Lobaugh. I am the team leader for Reducing Gun Violence, and we are part of the Justice Network of Tarrant County, and we are meeting here next Sunday, so that's my first announcement. You already heard that. 3 o'clock, mayor from Arlington. And that's to help you get involved in various aspects. Justice Network has at least 4 different foci. Reducing gun violence is one of them. LGBTQ plus rights is another. Voting rights is another. And then the jail issues that are pretty prevalent in the news. So if you want to be involved in one of those aspects, it'd be great for you to come next Sunday afternoon. But today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about gun violence and our work at the Reducing Gun Violence team to try to educate people on gun safety and try to advocate for better gun laws. You know the statistics that are out there, but just quickly, last year, 300 of our brothers and sisters in Tarrant County were murdered by gun violence. Many of those, the majority of those, were by suicide, but also intimate partner violence and accidental deaths. One of the things we're trying to advocate for is better safety. The Texas law has the nebulous phrase, do whatever is reasonable to keep guns out of the hands of minors. Now, most of us think, oh, that means locking them in a gun safe, but that can also mean putting it on a shelf in a shoebox. It's a very weak law that we're trying to get our legislature to strengthen. The other things that are hard for our state of Texas is that you don't have to register your guns and you don't have to have a license. We have permitless carry in Texas. And so picture this. If you are a felon or if you have a restraining order or a protective order against you, it is against the law for you to own or to purchase guns. But there's no how do I say it, enforcement attached to that. And so a law enforcement person could show up to that person's door and knock and ask, do you have a gun? Which is obviously a very difficult discussion to have with somebody who's already been judged to be a threat to a domestic partner. But you have to ask that because we don't have licensing in Texas, so we don't know who has guns. And if the person's honest in that moment, says, yes, I have a gun. The next question is how many, because we don't have to register how many guns you have. If you are a licensed gun seller, you have to do a background check. But if you sell it in the parking lot or from your doorstep, you don't. Recent gun laws were before the Supreme Court. One of them is about ghost guns. I don't know if you've heard that phrase, but it's buying gun parts through the mail, which are not traced, they're not registered, whatever, and you can assemble them in your house like you would an IKEA table. And it went before the Supreme Court, and we think that that's going to be counted, that gun parts will be counted the same as gun sales. So that might be one where we win. Let me tell you two other pieces. One of the things we're advocating is that we should treat guns like we treat our automobiles. You can buy a car from a dealer, you can buy a car from an individual. But when you buy a car, you are required to register that car in the state of Texas. And when you register that car, you have to show that you have insurance. Not because you're planning to perpetrate a crime, but because accidents happen. And there needs to be some responsibility, some liability for those accidents. And if you want to move that car from A to B, point A to point B, you have to have a license that shows you've done some training and are aware of the laws in order to operate the vehicle. So one of the things we're advocating is that we treat guns like we treat automobiles. Just simply that. So Jane was alluding to what we're doing out here in the lobby. Vidas robadas, if you remember your Spanish from high school, means stolen lives. In Tarrant County last year, 300 people were taken from us by gun violence. We are listing one person's name per shirt, and these names are public record. We got them from the public health offices. But if it was someone who took their own life, suicide, we've simply listed on those shirts another stolen life, otra vidas robadas. And as Jane said, we've listed their age, we've listed the date they were murdered. We're doing that in conjunction with people all over Texas through Texas Impact. We're going to display them here, the ones you make out by the yard, by the street, with a couple of signs that talk about what it is. But when we're done here, we're boxing those shirts up. We're taking them to Austin because February 27th, if you want to go with us, is the Advocacy Day for Gun Safety at the Texas Legislature in Austin, February 27th. We're going to display ours along with the others from across the state, hopefully in a very powerful, impactful moment to see so many T-shirts all over the front lawn of the Capitol. And so we'd love for you to stick around right after worship to make a shirt, to write someone's name on that shirt. And as you drive by this week, to remember these lives that were taken from us, stolen from us, and what we can do about gun safety. I do have cards if you want to join our team and be on our newsletter list. And we'd love to see you next week too. Thank you.
Please settle now and enjoy our opening music.
Thank you, Misha. That was beautiful. I want to say thank you also to the many people that worked so hard yesterday on the service auction and the lovely dinner and the hilariously fun trivia quiz that kept us here till nearly 10 o'clock. It was so much fun. I'm so terrible at it, but I still had a blast. So thank you all for all the work. And if you see anybody hobbling around here today, it's because they were on their feet all day yesterday preparing that. Let's call ourselves to worship. We are a people of love, dedicating our very beings to transforming our world into the paradise we know it can be. We are a people of love, dedicating our very beings to transforming our hearts into the spaces of love we know they can be. We are a people of love, dedicating our very beings to transforming ourselves into the inclusive and welcoming people we know we can be. We are a people of love. We are a people of love.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for our chalice lighting, the opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words are from the Reverend Angela Herrera. Don't leave your broken heart at the door. Bring it to the altar of life. Don't leave your anger behind. It has high standards, and the world needs vision. Bring them with you. And your joy and your passion. Bring your loving and your courage and your conviction. Bring your need for healing and your power to heal. There is work to do, and you all have all that you need to do it. Right here in this room. Please join now singing our opening hymn, the hymn of the month for November, which is number 168 in the gray hymnal, One More Step. Please now join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. The young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages here in front of the chancel.
I'm not sure if we're going to have any. We will just have the young at heart here. I'm going to move that plant out of the way so I don't carry it with me the whole day. So today we're talking about mending fences. Some of the older ones in our group here will remember that term. And it's how we kind of repair things, repair our relationships. Right now we're thinking as to how we repair our country. So I was going to talk with the kids about maybe it doesn't want me to talk about it. Oh, here they come. It wanted me to wait. Thank you. And Ronan, I was never able to find another balloon, but I bet somebody else with better talents can. Okay?
Or somebody can just make one.
Oh, okay. We can just make one. We'll make a balloon. Oh, you're about to make a song. All right. So today we're talking about being upset about something and how we handle that. Have you ever been really upset with somebody and then you want to say some really bad things to them, but you decide maybe you shouldn't right then?
Sometimes when my mom is mean to me, I just call her, I hate her.
Oh, well, see, that's one of the things that I'm talking about here is sometimes we can have a really fast reaction to something, and then we say something that maybe later we feel bad about. So one of the things that I do is I find something to occupy my mind for a little bit so I can think about it. And one of the things I do, do you hear that, Ronan? Do you hear it? So I'll sit very quietly and I'll start off really mad because I'm mad about something or mad at someone. And so I sit very quietly and I listen to this. Do you want to, let's just for a second, let's just be real quiet and just listen. Does it make you feel better? It does. It calms us down on the inside. And that way, once we've calmed down, then we can go talk about our hurt with someone else and without hurting them too. Because we want to mend our relationships. We don't ever want to break them. Okay? All right. What? When your friends say something mean to you, you can get kind of mad. That's true. You walk away and don't talk to them for a few. That's the best way to handle things.
Sometimes at my house when Mom just calls me a fight, I just run away from her.
You know, I've known your mom since she was really young.
Sometimes when Dad scares me away, I try to hide from her.
Oh, because you don't want to get in trouble anymore? Huh? Well, I don't know that I know her whole name, but I've known her since she was like 10, I think. Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you met her?
No, because we knew each other from somewhere else. Yeah. So I think that's a wonderful thing that you do. And I'm hoping that you can be the example and show your brother how to do that too, because we learn by how other people treat us and how other people behave around us, right? Okay, well, I want y'all to have a fantastic week, all right? And I want you to think about this thing that we talked about this morning. Oh, she has a very long name. Yes. All right, are y'all ready to go?
R-O-N-A-N.
R-O-N-A-N. Very good. Can we sing them out?
Because I'm writing my name.
He is so smart.
We'll now sing the children out, hymn number 414.
In the 1880s, ranchers began to fence their properties with barbed wire as an influx of new farmers and ranchers began to fill the Texas landscape. Angry that their cattle could not graze freely as promised, the new folk began to cut the fences to allow their cattle access to more land and resources. This resulted in the fence-cutting war. People died, cattle perished, relationships were broken because everyone felt they were right and no one would give in. If any of you read my articles in the Courier, and no judgment if you didn't, I recently touched on an ancestor of mine that for years I was ashamed of. Now, I understand I did not choose him, but my Texas heritage is directly descended from him, and there's no way to untangle myself from that. Sterling Clack Robertson and his wife, Frances King Robertson, came to Texas from Tennessee. Sterling was impresario of Robertson Colony, bringing immigrants from Germany and other notable countries, along with people from the U.S. who wished to make a fresh start in the beautiful, wide-open spaces of what would become Texas. He was also a signer of the Texas Declaration of Independence, a document written by his nephew, George Campbell Childress. Many of you know much of this, so I'll spare you the long Texas history lesson. Short version is that the impresarios had an agreement with the Mexican government to populate this region north of the Rio Grande. And in exchange, the impresarios would receive huge amounts of land. Now, if you wanted to be a farmer, you would receive 177 acres. If you wanted to be a rancher, you would receive 4,428 acres, more if you were important. You can imagine that everyone wanted to be a rancher. Now, this land transfer wasn't without conditions. Each settler who received land had to agree to three things. They must convert to Catholicism, they must learn to speak Spanish, and they must never be a slaveholder. Each would sign on the dotted line, receive their land, and then never honor their agreement. That brings us to Elijah Sterling Clack Robertson, son of the impresario, heir to his father's land, empire, and slaves. General Elijah Sterling Clack Robertson was a successful rancher and always gave thanks to his father for providing the land and slaves that produced his wealth. He would tell others that if they worked hard, they too could be successful. He said Texas was the land of opportunity. So, when there began talk of emancipating slaves, something that would interfere with his growing wealth, he helped form the Texas Regiment of the Confederate Army, eventually leading his men into battle in a fight over whether or not we had the right to own humans. In his will, drafted in the event that he did not survive the war, he left his property to his wife and children, property which included several hundred human beings. So we know how the war ended, and we know that slave owners lost a great deal of their wealth because, well, their wealth consisted of trafficked humans. Humans trafficked for hundreds of years. Generation after generation of children born into a life they were never allowed to leave. Children ripped from the arms of their mothers and sold to other plantation owners as if they were no different than horses or cattle or dogs. Owned by men who would fight to the death to keep it that way. Humans owned by men who also did some very generous and good things. Elijah was a signer of the secession ordinance, a royal archmason, founder of Salado College, which is now known as Thomas Arnold High School, and provider of the land for the city of Salado. And yes, I know people can be very complicated. This is a real problem for me, mainly because there are people who continue to lift up as heroes those who, at the very core of their being, held beliefs that injured and killed others. Beliefs that caused generational trauma that continues to this day. And no amount of doing good deeds can change the damage they've done. In my own life, with those who carry these beliefs, I don't know how to mend those fences with people who refuse to see the harm they have done.
Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in congregations of all sizes. No matter its size, each congregation depends on all of its members. Each one of you, by your commitment of time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. Individually and together, we are Unitarian Universalists, building a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or a charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the fourth quarter is a Partnership Home, formerly the Tarrant County Homelessness Coalition. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn number 119, Once to Every Soul and Nation. Please be seated.
Our reading this morning is The Journey by Mary Oliver. One day, you finally knew what you had to do and began. Though the voices around you kept shouting their bad advice, though the whole house began to tremble and you felt the old tug at your ankles, "Mend my life," each voice cried. But you didn't stop. You knew what you had to do, though the wind pried with its stiff fingers at the very foundations, though their melancholy was terrible. It was already late enough, and a wild night, and the road full of fallen branches and stones. But little by little, as you left their voices behind, the stars began to burn through the sheets of clouds, and there was a new voice which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. At this time in our service, we pause to honor and to give time and attention to those things most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts, and to honor our time together with the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in the meditation center here next to the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, please wish Patrick Gutierrez and Michael Zepeda a happy birthday. Patrick is timeless. I will read our meditation words, and then we will spend a quiet moment with meditative music from Misha. This meditation was written by Carol Alman Morton. Many of us carry a burden of worry, anxiety over the state of the world, worries about money, about our environment, our families, about peace and justice. May we trust that nothing will get worse for us, putting that burden down for a moment. May we let go of what weighs us down. May we find that we can set down worry for longer and longer periods of time. In our experience of letting go, may we be open to the possibility that we need not pick our worries back up. May we find passion and strength to do the work for change where we have the power to do so, and to let go where we do not. If not forever, let us put down any worries or anxiety for our time of quiet. May we be in quiet together. much beauty. Thank you. So if you didn't receive or read the email sent out by Carl on Friday, I'll read my part here. It seemed easy enough to decide that a message of hope might be helpful during this time. But when I sat down to write, I found that I struggled to give voice to my feelings. Maybe there are just too many feelings that are still entangled within my heart, and I will have to wait for them to rise to the surface and identify them one by one. Maybe you are struggling with this too. And that's okay. Sometimes what we are experiencing requires us to sit with our feelings for a while, gathering our strength, gathering our community, reminding ourselves we are a people of love, seeking justice for one another. Sometimes, and especially in times like these, we need to just know that our feelings, whatever they may be, are valid. Your grief is valid. Your anger is valid. Your fear is valid. Who you are as a person is valid. You are loved so very much. I won't tell you everything will be fine. We know it won't. But I will tell you that we will get through the next 4 years together with love at the center of everything we do. Our BIPOC community, queer community, immigrant community, and others need our love and protection now more than ever. And that is one thing we will be able to do. But not yet. Right now, we need to breathe deeply and follow the instructions on living in a broken world. Lean into community. Seek out love. Applaud the good you see. Keep paying attention. Talk to your neighbors. Dance to the music and embrace art. Look for love and small joys. Take breaks and relish in nourishing your body. Donate what you can. Linger at the table with friends. Check in with your people. Let yourself grieve. Love one another as deeply as you can. So when I was 8 years old, I was struck by a car while crossing the street. The accident left me with a compound fracture of my left femur and a broken arm. I was in traction for a long time, letting the bone end slowly move back into place, and then longer even in a body cast that extended from my toes to my chest. The care of my broken body was a group effort. The doctors, nurses, my family, especially my sister Gail, all cared for me in different ways as I slowly healed. They were all dedicated to knitting me back together, to helping me heal emotionally as well as physically. With their love and care, they made me whole again. We all know what it's like to be broken, physically and emotionally. We know the deep, gut-wrenching feeling of relationships strained beyond their capacity to heal, like a broken bone left untended, causing pain and anguish each time we try to move forward. What we struggle to know is how to mend those fences that have been torn down by hate, misunderstandings, division, greed, and even jealousy. I'm not just talking politics here, although, yes, I am doing that also. More broadly, I am speaking to the ease with which we seem to be walking away from perspectives that differ from our own. Like deciding that something is broken and taking a hammer to it just to finish it off because we don't know how to fix it. I will never say your feelings are not valid. They absolutely are. And I will also never ask someone to mend a fence or build a bridge that continues to harm them. Though we have to decide how we are going to create relationships that will heal our communities. And some of that starts with confronting our own broken places. In Robert Frost's poem, The Mending Wall, he describes the way he and a neighbor repair the wall that is broken down during the winter. Each spring, he and his neighbor, each staying on their respective sides of the fence, walked the length of the wall, chatting, looking for holes in the fence, and one by one, picking up stones to fill the gaps. They each mend their own side, but they agree that it takes two of them to get the job done. They complete the work and respond that good fences make good neighbors. For any relationship to mend, both sides have to own their part of the brokenness and seek ways to mend the gaps in their thinking, their styles, and their perspectives. Each one has to bring something to the rebuilding, with a desire to fix things before they are broken down even further. Mending a relationship may require you to surrender the hurt and frustration and the need to be right. Sometimes it means offering forgiveness, even as you set boundaries so you can move on, knowing you've done all you can. Repairing, mending, reviving, renewing any relationship is hard work. It takes the efforts of two people intimately involved and equally desiring that that relationship continues. Possibilities can be created when love abounds and when forgiveness prevails. So, as we move forward into the world, once again finding our strength and our heart, I want you to remember, we are a people of love. Everything we do should come from a place of love, because that is what can heal our fractured world and our fractured selves. Whether you are needing to come to terms with those in the past or those who are still living, I ask that you do this with love, but not just yet. Let's sit a little longer with our grief, our anger, and our fear. We'll still be a people of love tomorrow. We'll just be stronger. Will you rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 1014? I do have a note here that says there is a change in the words from standing on the side of love to answering the call of love, and that the words in the hymnal are the original. Those on the screen are the revised ones. So I guess we'll be reading them from the screen.
Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention. So go. Love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you.
Our benediction words are by Eric Williams. The world is too beautiful to be praised by only one voice. May you have the courage to sing your part. The world is too broken to be healed by only one set of hands. May you have the courage to use your gifts. May you go in peace. Our service has ended, and we would like to invite you to join us in the library at the rear of the sanctuary for coffee and conversation afterwards.